Hey guys, tonight we're leaving behind the dusty Roman Forum and stepping into a world that, on the surface, seems like a dream, the shimmering, labyrinthine canals of Renaissance Venice. Picture it gondolas gliding silently, palaces rising from the water, the sun glinting off ancient stones. Sounds romantic, right? Well, tonight, we're pulling back the curtain on that picturesque postcard to reveal the watery, often gritty, reality of being a gondolier in Renaissance Venice. Forget the serenades and the effortless glide. This isn't a leisurely punt. It's a grueling, back-breaking, often thankless job in a city that smells like a forgotten seafood market. You might think you're tough because you once rode a kayak across a calm lake. Trust me, you're not ready for this. You're probably not going to survive this. To be honest, the sheer physical demand, the constant exposure to the elements, and the cutthroat competition would send most modern folks straight back to dry land. But hey, you're a survivor, right? You've got this, maybe. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Let me know in the comments below where you're tuning in from and what time it is for you. Always fascinating to see the global reach of our little bedtime stories. Now, dim the lights. Maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum. And let's ease into tonight's journey together. The first hint that your romanticized vision of Venice is about to shatter comes not with the dawn, but well before it. While most of Venice still slumbers, a silent, dreamlike city draped in the pre-dawn mist, you are already awake. Your muscles, still aching from yesterday's endless hours on the water, protest with every movement as you swing your legs off the rough cot. It's still dark, but a faint metallic scent of damp stone and brackish water already permeates the air, signaling the start of another relentless day. This is the dawn's dreadful dinghy, the brutal beginning of your gondolier life. You pull on your practical, sturdy work clothes, not the iconic striped shirt and straw hat of later centuries, but durable tunic and breeches, perhaps a simple woolen cap to ward off the morning chill. Your hands, already calloused and scarred from the constant friction of the oar, instinctively clench, preparing for the strain to come. There's no leisurely breakfast of pastries and coffee, a piece of hard bread, maybe some dried fruit, washed down with a gulp of thin, sour wine, is all you get. You need fuel, and quickly, for the immense physical exertion that awaits you. As you step out into the narrow call, the alleyway, the sounds of the waking city begin to assert themselves. The distant clanging of church bells, the muffled shouts of other early risers, the rhythmic dip and creak of oars from fellow gondoliers already on the water. The air is damp and cool, clinging to your skin, a stark contrast to the stifling heat that will bake the city later in the day. You can almost taste the humidity, heavy with the promise of the day's exertion. Your gondola awaits, tied to a wooden post near a small canal. It's not a pleasure craft to you, it's your livelihood, your office, your entire world. You meticulously check it over, running your hands along the sleek, asymmetrical hull. Is the forcola, the intricate oar lock, secure? Is the oar itself free of splinters or damage? Every detail matters. A broken oar or a damaged boat means lost income. A day without food for your family. This isn't just a job, it's a constant battle against wear and tear, against the unforgiving elements of salt water and constant use. Pushing off from the stone quay, the familiar sensation of the oar in your hand sends a jolt through your arms and shoulders. The gondola, heavy and unwieldy on land, becomes an extension of your body on the water. You find the rhythm almost immediately, the powerful stroke that propels the boat forward. It's a graceful movement, honed over years of practice, but it's deceptively strenuous. Every stroke engages your legs, core, back, and arms. It's a full-body workout, repeated hundreds, thousands of times a day. Your muscles burn, your lungs ache, but you push through it. There is no other option. Your first task of the day often involves picking up goods from the Rialto market or ferrying merchants to their shops. These aren't glamorous passengers. You're hauling heavy baskets of fish, crates of vegetables, bolts of cloth. The gondola, already low in the water due to its unique design, sinks even lower under the added weight, making every stroke more difficult, every turn more challenging. You might navigate narrow, winding canals, dodging other boats, scraping past the crumbling foundations of ancient palaces. This early morning grind is a world away from the leisurely tourist rides you imagine. One of the less romantic aspects is the constant need for maintenance. Gondolas, made of wood, were constantly exposed to the corrosive effects of salt water and barnacles. You would spend hours, often in your spare time, cleaning the hull, checking for leaks, and applying pitch or other protective coatings. The iconic black color of gondolas, which became standard later, was partly practical, a way to cover the inevitable grime and make repairs less noticeable. Before the strict regulations, gondolas could be quite ornate and colorful, but constant upkeep was still required. The sheer physical exertion begins to tell on you even before the sun fully rises. Your shoulders feel like lead, your lower back a constant dull ache. Your hands, despite their calluses, throb with latent pain, but you can't stop. You can't even pause for long. Every minute spent idle is a minute of lost income, a moment when another gondolier might snag a lucrative fare. The competition is fierce, and the hunger in your belly is a powerful motivator. You learn to conserve energy, to find the most efficient stroke, to glide rather than power through the water whenever possible. It's a delicate balance of effort and grace, all aimed at maximizing your meager earnings. A common historical truth is that gondoliers, despite their idealized image today, were working-class men often struggling for survival in a highly competitive and often brutal environment. They were not just boatmen, they were guides, navigators, and sometimes even discreet couriers for their wealthy patrons. Their intimate knowledge of the labyrinthine city was their greatest asset. A lesser-known detail about the physical demands, the asymmetrical design of the gondola, while making it incredibly maneuverable, also means that the gondolier is constantly rowing on one side, requiring a unique, highly developed muscular imbalance. This could lead to long-term postural problems and chronic pain. Imagine spending your entire working life constantly twisting your torso in one direction, hour after hour, year after year. It's a miracle they could stand upright at all after a few decades. Historians still debate the true origin of the gondola's unique asymmetry. Some argue it evolved purely out of practical necessity for navigating Venice's narrow, winding canals with a single oar. Others contend that it was a deliberate design innovation, perhaps inspired by earlier Venetian flat-bottomed boats. The academic discussion often revolves around whether this iconic design was a gradual, organic development or a more conscious engineering choice. But either way, its impact on the gondolier's body was undeniable. So, as the first golden rays of the Venetian sun finally pierced the mist, illuminating the grand facades of the palaces, you are already deep into your day's toil. Your breath comes in ragged gasps, your muscles scream in protest, and the relentless reality of being a gondolier in Renaissance Venice settles heavily upon you. The beauty of the city is a distant, almost mocking backdrop to the relentless, physically demanding grind of your existence. You're not just rowing, you're enduring. You've conquered the pre-dawn chill and the initial muscular protest, pushing off into the awakening network of canals. But as Venice truly stirs and the city comes alive around you, the picturesque facade crumbles, revealing the grim reality of its waterways. This isn't a pristine blue lagoon. You are about to immerse yourself in Venice's stinky, slimy canals, battling odors and pollution that would make your modern senses revolt. The first thing that truly assails you is the smell. It's not the romantic scent of salt air and blooming flowers you might imagine. No, it's a pungent, complex bouquet of stagnation, decay, and human waste. Venice, for all its beauty, was built on a series of marshy islands, and its canals were the city's arteries, but also its primary waste disposal system. Everything, and we mean everything, from household refuse to human excrement, was routinely dumped directly into the canals. Imagine the smell of 1,000 open sewers, mingling with decaying fish, stagnant water, and the occasional dead animal floating by. In the warmer months, this stench would intensify, a cloying, sickly sweet aroma that clung to the air, permeated your clothes, and seemed to get into your very bones. You try to breathe shallowly through your mouth, but the smell is inescapable, a constant, sickening companion throughout your workday. Beyond the smell, there's the sight of the water itself. It's often murky, a muddy greenish brown, opaque with suspended waste and sediment. You might see actual floating debris, discarded food scraps, bits of cloth, wood, and other unidentifiable detritus. The bottoms of the gondolas, always scraping against submerged objects in the shallower canals, would gather a slimy, greenish-black film. The charming reflection of palaces in the water is often obscured by this layer of filth, a grim reminder of the city's unsanitary realities. You learn to ignore the occasional dead rat or pigeon floating listlessly, becoming desensitized to sights that would trigger screams of disgust from a modern observer. Navigating these polluted waters isn't just unpleasant, it's a constant hazard. You frequently encounter submerged obstacles, discarded rubbish, broken pottery, or even larger, hidden objects that could scrape or damage the delicate hull of your gondola. A sharp jolt, a sudden grating sound, and you know you've hit something. Every impact is a potential repair job, a ding that could lead to a leak and lost income. You develop an instinctive sense for the shallow spots, the areas where stagnant water and accumulated waste are thickest, relying on your knowledge of the channels more than your sight. And speaking of damage, the salt water itself is a relentless enemy. It corrodes metal fittings, causes wood to swell and rot, and encourages the growth of barnacles and algae on the hull. You're constantly scraping, cleaning, and applying pitch or tar to protect your boat. A never-ending battle against the elements and the biological life that thrives in such conditions. Your hands, already rough from the oar, are constantly immersed in this brackish, often contaminated water, making minor cuts and abrasions prone to infection. The canals also served as the primary transportation network for goods, leading to constant congestion and the risk of collision. Imagine dodging heavy merchant barges laden with timber, barrels of wine, or bales of cloth. You're weaving between smaller delivery boats, private gondolas carrying wealthy citizens, and other working gondoliers, all vying for space in narrow, often winding waterways. There are no traffic laws, no lights, just the skill and quick reflexes of the boatman. A misjudgment could lead to a collision, damaging your precious gondola, injuring yourself or your passengers, and leading to costly repairs and lost income. It's a constant, high-stakes game of aquatic chicken. One common historical truth about Renaissance Venice is that despite its grand architecture and cultural achievements, it was a city plagued by poor sanitation. The reliance on canals for both transport and waste disposal, combined with high population density and limited medical knowledge, meant that diseases like dysentery, typhus, and even outbreaks of plague were a recurrent threat. Gondoliers constantly exposed to the polluted water were particularly vulnerable, a lesser-known detail about the canal conditions in some narrower, less frequented canals, particularly those in poorer districts. The water could become so stagnant and filled with waste that it would turn a thick, almost solid consistency in warmer months. Gondoliers would sometimes have to literally push their oars through this semi-liquid sludge, adding another layer of physical revulsion and difficulty to their already arduous work. Imagine trying to row through a giant bowl of watery, smelly oatmeal. It's enough to make you consider a career as a humble shoemaker. Historians still debate the true impact of Venice's unique urban environment on the long-term health of its inhabitants, particularly professions like gondoliers. Some argue that the constant exposure to pathogens led to a certain level of acquired immunity, while others contend that it simply resulted in chronically poor health and a reduced life expectancy compared to those in more sanitary environments. The academic discussion often grapples with the paradox of Venice's beauty and prosperity coexisting with such challenging living conditions. highlighting the pre-modern world's struggle with public health. So, as you push through another particularly foul-smelling stretch of canal, dodging a lumbering barge and the noxious cloud of flies hovering above it, you find a grim sort of acceptance. This is the reality of your Venice, a city of breathtaking beauty and inescapable filth. Your oar dips into the murky water, propelling you forward, a silent testament to your endurance in a world that constantly assaults your senses. You're not just rowing a boat. You're navigating a living, breathing, festering urban swamp, and somehow you keep going. You've wrestled with the stench and the filth of the canals, your senses dulled but never quite immune. But now, as the workday truly takes hold, the focus shifts to the relentless, back-breaking core of your existence, the grueling oars grind. This isn't a leisure cruise, it's a constant, repetitive strain on your body, hour after hour, a testament to the sheer physical endurance demanded of a Renaissance Venetian gondolier. Every stroke of the oar is a full-body commitment. You stand, not sit, at the stern, your left foot planted firmly on the gondola's raised deck poppa, your right foot slightly forward, providing balance and leverage. You lean into the stroke, pushing your weight through the long, heavy oar, your back muscles screaming in protest. Your core engages, twisting as you pull the oar through the water, propelling the boat forward with a powerful, fluid motion. Your shoulders burn, your arms ache, and the constant friction of the oar against the forcola, the oddly shaped oarlock that allows for both propulsion and steering, slowly but surely chafes your calloused hands raw. This isn't just about raw strength, it's about stamina. You might spend 12, 14, even 16 hours a day on the water. That's thousands of strokes, each one demanding a significant expenditure of energy. The gondola itself, while appearing graceful, is heavy, and pushing it through the water, especially against currents or headwind, requires immense effort. You can feel the fatigue building up in your muscles, a deep, pervasive ache that never fully dissipates, even after a night's restless sleep. Every morning, you wake up already tired, facing another day of relentless physical labor. It's like running a marathon, every single day, without ever truly recovering. Your body becomes a machine, but a machine that constantly teeters on the brink of breakdown. The repetitive nature of the rowing motion is particularly insidious. Because you row on one side of the asymmetrical gondola, your body develops a distinct muscular imbalance. Your left shoulder might be significantly more developed than your right. Your back muscles twisted, your spine subtly warped from the constant, one-sided exertion. This isn't just about strength, it's about chronic strain injuries, tendinitis, bursitis, lower back pain, shoulder impingement. These would be constant companions for a gondolier. Imagine the relentless pain, a dull throb that accompanies your every move, making even simple tasks off the boat a struggle. There are no ergonomic studies, no physical therapists, no pain medication stronger than a swig of rough wine. You simply endure. The weather adds another layer of torment. In summer, the sun beats down relentlessly, baking the canals and reflecting off the water, creating a dazzling glare. You're exposed, unprotected, your skin burning, your eyes squinting against the harsh light. Dehydration is a constant threat. In winter, the damp cold of Venice seeps into your bones. The wind whips across the open water, chilling you to the core. Your muscles stiffen, your hands become numb, and the risk of hypothermia is very real. Even a thick woolen coat offers little protection against the pervasive, bone-chilling dampness. Whether boiling or freezing, the physical demands remain, amplified by the unforgiving elements. It's a job where you're always too hot or too cold, too wet or too dry, but never, ever comfortable. And speaking of discomfort, consider the sheer monotony. While Venice is beautiful, your perspective is always from the water, constantly scanning for obstacles, passengers, or rival gondoliers. The scenery, however grand, eventually blends into a blur of stone and water. Your mind, focused on the rhythm of the stroke and the immediate demands of navigation, has little time for poetic contemplation. It's a grind, a never-ending cycle of physical effort, broken only by the brief respite of a fair or a moment to tie up and stretch aching limbs. One common historical truth is that the gondolier's unique rowing style, known as voga alla veneta, is a highly specialized skill passed down through generations. It is not just about moving the boat, it is about precise control, balance, and the ability to navigate narrow, winding canals with a single oar and no rudder. This skill made gondoliers indispensable, but it also meant that only those with exceptional physical aptitude and years of training could truly master the craft. A lesser-known detail is the importance of the forcola. This intricate wooden oarlock, with its multiple curves and angles, is not merely a rest for the oar. Each notch and curve is designed to allow the gondolier to perform different maneuvers, accelerating, turning sharply, slowing down, or reversing, all with a single oar. It's a testament to incredible design, but also demands a nuanced understanding and precise control that further contributes to the unique physical strain on the gondolier's body. Imagine trying to use a perfectly shaped tool designed for maximum efficiency, but it's still hurting you every single day. Maybe not ideal. Historians still debate the average life expectancy and long-term health outcomes for working-class Venetians, including gondoliers. Some argue that the rigorous physical labor, combined with poor sanitation and exposure to the elements, would have led to significantly shorter lifespans and chronic debilitating illnesses compared to the wealthy elite. Others contend that the constant physical activity might have conferred some health benefits, despite the harsh conditions. The academic discussion often struggles with the lack of detailed medical records for the working class, leaving much to speculation about the true human cost of such demanding professions. So, as you push off from another stop, the familiar groan of your muscles echoing the creak of the oar, you settle into the relentless rhythm. The sun beats down, the water smells, and the city's beauty fades into the background. Your world shrinks to the push and pull of the oar, the burning in your lungs, and the silent, unyielding demand of the water. This is the grueling grind, the core of your existence, and you will continue until your body gives out, or until the last glimmer of twilight fades from the Venetian sky. You've mastered the relentless physical demands, your body a finely tuned machine, albeit one constantly aching. You've become accustomed to the symphony of smells and sounds that define Venice's waterways, but as you navigate the grand canals and narrow channels, a new form of discomfort emerges. One dictated not by nature, but by the rigid social codes of the Republic fashion, fails, and fines. Your clothing isn't a matter of personal choice, it's a regulated uniform, a source of constant discomfort, and a potential drain on your already meager earnings if you fail to conform. Forget the romanticized image of a gondolier in a jaunty striped shirt and a wide straw hat. That's a much later invention for the tourist trade. In Renaissance Venice, your attire was far more utilitarian, and often rigidly prescribed. You were expected to wear durable, practical clothing, typically a tunic and breeches, often in dark, somber colors. While the wealthy flaunted vibrant silks and elaborate fashions, your clothes were designed for work, not display. They were heavy, woolen or coarse linen, offering some protection from the elements but becoming stiflingly hot in summer and miserably damp in winter. Imagine working all day in clothes that cling to your sweat-soaked skin or become heavy and cold with spray from the canals. It's a constant, low-level irritation. The Venetian Republic, ever conscious of social order and distinction, had strict sumptuary laws that dictated what different social classes could wear. These laws were designed to prevent the lower classes from imitating the upper classes, maintaining clear visual distinctions. As a gondolier, you were firmly in the working class. This meant no flamboyant colors, no expensive fabrics, no elaborate ornamentation. If you dared to wear anything deemed too luxurious or inappropriate for your station, you could face hefty fines. These fines, in a profession where every coin counted, were a terrifying prospect. Capable of wiping out a week's earnings or more, it's like getting a ticket for wearing the wrong socks to work. only the fine means you can't feed your family. Beyond the formal laws, there were unwritten rules and social expectations. You had to look presentable, but not too presentable. Your clothes would be worn, patched, and often stained with the grime of the canals, a visual testament to your hard labor. Yet, they couldn't be so ragged that they projected destitution, which might deter potential customers. It was a fine line to walk, balancing practicality with social acceptability, all while knowing that a misstep could cost you. The constant exposure to the elements and the nature of your work meant your clothes were always under assault. Salt water would quickly degrade fabrics, the sun would fade colors, and the general dirtiness of the canals meant constant grime. Your clothes might rarely feel truly clean or dry, contributing to a persistent sense of damp discomfort and an ever-present, faintly mildewy smell that clung to you, no matter how much you tried to air them out. This was not a job where you came home feeling fresh and clean. Even your hair and facial hair might be subject to unspoken, or even explicit expectations. While styles varied over the Renaissance period, gondoliers generally kept their hair short and practical, easily managed. A long, flowing beard might be fine for a philosopher, but for a working man constantly battling spray and wind, it was an impractical nuisance. Looking tidy, even in your humble attire, was part of maintaining a respectable, professional image. However much your body and clothes protested, one common historical truth is that sumptuary laws were widespread across Renaissance Europe, not just in Venice. They reflected a rigid social hierarchy where clothing was a powerful visual indicator of status, wealth, and moral standing. These laws controlled everything from the type of fabric and color to the amount of embroidery or jewelry one could wear, ensuring that everyone knew their place at a glance. A lesser-known detail about gondolier attire is that before the 16th century, gondolas themselves were often brightly painted and highly decorated. However, a sumptuary law in 1562 specifically aimed at curbing excessive display decreed that all gondolas must be painted black. This wasn't just about economics, it was a form of symbolic control, emphasizing the seriousness and regulated nature of Venetian life, and subtly impacting the visual context of the gondolier's own attire. Imagine rowing a somber black boat while being fined for wearing a slightly too bright scarf. Historians still debate the true effectiveness of sumptuary laws in Renaissance Venice. Some argue that they were frequently flouted by the wealthy, who found ways around them, making them more of a symbolic gesture than a practical tool for social control. Others contend that, while not always perfectly enforced, they did significantly shape the visual landscape of the city and reinforced class distinctions, impacting the daily lives and choices of working-class individuals like gondoliers. The academic discussion often revolves around the tension between legislative intent and social reality. So, as you pull on your drab, practical tunic, feeling the familiar itch of the rough wool against your skin, you check for any egregious stains or tears that might draw an unwanted gaze. Your appearance is a carefully managed performance, constrained by rules and expectations that have little to do with comfort and everything to do with maintaining the strict social order of Venice. It's a subtle form of control, ensuring that even on the water, you never forget your place, and the threat of a fine always lingers, a constant reminder of the precariousness of your gondolier life. You've accepted the physical discomfort of your regulated attire, your body now a finely tuned machine of repetitive motion. But as the canals of Venice truly awaken and the city's myriad activities surge, your next great challenge isn't just about moving your gondola. It's about survival amidst the chaotic, often terrifying, reality of navigating treacherous traffic. The waterways are a free-for-all, a liquid highway where every turn, every passing vessel brings the risk of collision, damage, and disaster. Imagine the Grand Canal at mid-morning. It's not the serene, tourist-friendly waterway of today. It's a bustling, churning thoroughfare, teeming with an incredible variety of boats. Heavy merchant barges barge it laden with goods, timber, wine barrels, massive bales of cloth. Foodstuffs move slowly but inexorably, often powered by multiple rowers or sail. their bulk creating significant wakes. Lighter market boats zip past, carrying fresh produce, fish, and other daily necessities, their owners eager to reach their destinations. You see numerous other private gondolas carrying wealthy citizens, their servants, or even cloaked figures on clandestine errands, often moving at speed. Their gondoliers as skilled and aggressive as you are. And then there are the smaller, less formal boats, a chaotic mix of skiffs and canoes, piloted by anyone trying to get from one island to another. There are no traffic rules as you know them. No navigation lights, no agreed-upon lanes, no official right-of-way beyond the occasional shouted warning, or the sheer momentum of a larger vessel. It's a constant, high-stakes dance, an intricate ballet of near misses and evasive maneuvers. You rely on your intimate knowledge of the currents, the depths, and the unwritten etiquette of the canals. But even that is often not enough against the sheer volume and recklessness of others. The narrow canals, or rai, are even more perilous. Here, two gondolas might barely be able to pass each other. Blind turns around ancient palaces mean you have to anticipate incoming traffic, listening for the distinctive call of another gondolier warning of their approach. Oh, or premi, meaning push or move to your left, right. A moment of hesitation, a misjudgment of speed or distance, and you could easily find your gondola scraping against stone walls or, worse, colliding with another boat. These scrapes aren't just cosmetic. They can damage your precious boat, necessitating costly repairs that cut directly into your meager earnings. Collisions are a terrifying prospect. The unique asymmetrical design of the gondola, while incredibly agile, also makes it somewhat vulnerable to broadside impacts. A heavy barge striking your side could capsize you, throwing you and your passengers into the murky, polluted water. Even a glancing blow from another gondola could splinter your wooden hull, dislodge your forkla, or snap your oar. Each incident means lost time, lost income, and the expense of repairs. And in a pre-insurance era, those expenses come directly out of your pocket, representing a significant financial blow that could jeopardize your family's survival. It's like driving a priceless antique car in a demolition derby every single day, knowing a single dent could bankrupt you. The passengers themselves add to the traffic stress. They might be demanding, shouting instructions, or pointing out sights, further distracting you from the immediate dangers. Wealthy merchants or noblemen might be in a hurry, urging you to row faster, pushing you to take risks you'd rather avoid. Their impatience often outweighs their concern for your safety or the integrity of your boat. You have to balance their demands with the imperative of safe navigation, a delicate negotiation between service and survival. One common historical truth is that the sheer volume of boat traffic in Renaissance Venice was astonishing. With no roads for wheeled transport, everything moved by water. This meant that the canals were constantly bustling, a vibrant but often dangerous network of commerce and transit. The number of active gondoliers alone numbered in the thousands during the peak of the Republic's power, each one vying for space. A lesser-known detail about canal navigation involves the unique Venetian custom of ponteggi, gondoliers literally walking across the back of their boats to maintain momentum and maneuver through incredibly tight spots or to push past obstacles. This extraordinary feat of balance and agility highlights the extreme measures gondoliers would take to navigate the chaotic waterways and avoid collisions, showcasing a skill level far beyond mere rowing. Imagine trying to sprint across the narrowest part of your boat while it's moving, just to squeeze through a tiny gap. Historians still debate the true number of accidents and fatalities on Venice's canals during the Renaissance. While precise records are scarce, anecdotal evidence suggests that collisions and accidental drownings were not uncommon, highlighting the inherent dangers of living and working on such a densely trafficked, unregulated aquatic environment. The academic discussion often grapples with the balance between the romanticized image of Venice and the stark, perilous realities of daily life for its working population. So, as you deftly pivot your gondola to avoid a lumbering grain barge, the shouts of its crew echoing across the water, you feel the familiar adrenaline surge. Your eyes constantly scan the horizon. Your ears alert to every distant splash or warning cry. This is your office, your highway, and your battlefield. You are a master of this treacherous dance, a silent navigator in a city that flows with both beauty and danger. Every stroke a testament to your skill and your will to survive. You've survived the chaotic currents of Venetian traffic, your gondola miraculously intact. But as the sun climbs higher and the demand for your services intensifies, you face a different kind of challenge, one that strikes directly at the heart of your precarious livelihood, fickle fares, and empty pockets. The romantic image of a gondolier gliding effortlessly through the canals belies the harsh, competitive reality of a job where income is unpredictable. And every day is a relentless grind to secure enough coins to feed your family. First, there's the sheer competition. Venice was teeming with gondoliers. Every working man with enough skill and a boat was vying for the same limited pool of passengers. You'd gather at popular spots like the Rialto Bridge or St. Mark's Square, jostling for position, shouting out to potential customers, trying to catch their eye before arrival did. The atmosphere was often tense, filled with silent glares and the occasional muttered curse between competing boatmen. A moment of hesitation, a second too slow to spot a potential fare, and that income would vanish into another gondolier's pocket. It's like being a taxi driver in a city with 10 times too many taxis, all fighting over the same few rides. The unpredictability of income was a constant source of anxiety. Some days might be good, with a few wealthy passengers paying a decent fare for a longer journey. Other days, you might spend hours waiting, enduring the sun or rain, with only a few short, low-paying trips. There was no guaranteed wage, no steady paycheck. Your income depended entirely on the whims of the market, the weather, and your ability to outcompete your peers. This created immense financial insecurity, making long-term planning almost impossible. You lived day to day, often hand to mouth, hoping for enough fares to cover your family's basic needs. And speaking of fares, there was often haggling. While some wealthy patrons might pay without question, many everyday Venetians, and even some budget-conscious visitors would try to negotiate the price down. You had to be a shrewd negotiator, balancing the need for income against the risk of losing a fare entirely. Push too hard, and the customer might walk away to the next gondolier, accept too little, and you might work for hours for barely anything. It was a constant battle of wits. Trying to extract a fair price for your grueling labor? Imagine every single customer trying to bargain down your salary, knowing you desperately need the money. The cost of maintaining your gondola further eroded your earnings. As you've experienced, the salt water and constant use meant frequent repairs. Wood needed to be treated, ropes replaced, minor damage fixed. Even the long, specialized oar was an expensive piece of equipment. These costs came directly out of your pocket. A major repair could set you back weeks or even months of earnings, plunging your family into debt. This constant financial drain meant that even when you had a good day, a significant portion of your earnings was immediately earmarked for the upkeep of your essential tool. Then there's the issue of dead time. Time spent waiting for passengers. Time spent rowing an empty gondola back to a prime pickup spot. Time spent navigating congested canals. All of it was unpaid. Every minute not actively carrying a fare was a minute of lost opportunity. A silent drain on your potential income. You learned to be endlessly resourceful, constantly seeking out new opportunities, even if it meant venturing into less profitable side canals or waiting patiently for hours. One common historical truth is that Venice's economy, while rich and powerful, was also highly specialized and competitive. Many working-class professions, like gondoliers, operated on a system of daily earnings and informal contracts, making them highly vulnerable to economic fluctuations and shifts in demand. This created a highly dynamic, but often stressful, working environment. A lesser-known detail is that gondoliers often formed informal stazi, or stations, designated waiting areas where they would queue for passengers. While this provided some order, it also intensified the competition within these specific zones, leading to arguments and even occasional skirmishes over who got the next fare. It wasn't just individual competition. It was a communal struggle for survival within established, yet fiercely contested territories. Imagine a taxi stand where everyone is glaring at each other, ready to pounce on the next customer. Historians still debate the average annual income of a Renaissance gondolier. While precise figures are scarce, most agree it was a modest living, enough to sustain a family but rarely to accumulate significant wealth. Some scholars argue that while the work was hard, gondoliers enjoyed a certain level of independence and prestige compared to other laborers. Others contend that the economic precariousness and physical demands made it a harsh and often impoverished existence. The academic discussion often struggles with the limitations of historical economic data for the working classes, leaving much to interpretation. So, as you wait, jostling for position near the bustling Rialto Bridge, your eyes constantly scanning the crowds for a potential fare, you feel the familiar gnawing anxiety in your stomach. The sun beats down, your muscles ache, and your pockets feel distressingly light. This isn't the romantic glide of a tourist's dream. It's the relentless grind of survival, a constant battle against the empty purse, fought one unpredictable fare at a time. And, as the day wears on, that every minute counts. Every coin is precious, and every single passenger is a victory in your ongoing struggle for existence. You've mastered the art of the haggling for fares, your stomach now accustomed to the gnawing anxiety of unpredictable income. But as the Venetian year progresses, you face an adversary far more ancient and unforgiving than any rival gondolier or stingy merchant, the relentless moods of nature. You must brave Venice's extreme weather, enduring searing sun and icy winds, a constant, pervasive discomfort that seeps into your bones and relentlessly assaults your body in every season. Summer in Venice is not just warm, it's a stifling, oppressive heat. The sun beats down mercilessly, reflecting off the canals and the pale stone of the palaces, creating a dazzling glare that strains your eyes. With no shade on your gondola, you are utterly exposed, baking under the relentless rays for hours on end. The heavy wool or linen of your work clothes, while practical for durability, traps the heat, making you sweat profusely. Dehydration is a constant threat, your throat perpetually dry, your head often throbbing. Imagine feeling like you're cooking alive, slowly roasting on the water, while your muscles continue their grueling, repetitive grind. There's no escaping it, no air-conditioned cabin to retreat to. You simply endure the relentless solar assault, your skin slowly turning to leather, your body perpetually sticky with sweat. Then comes the humidity. Venice is surrounded by water, making the air thick and heavy, especially in summer. This high humidity intensifies the heat, making sweat evaporate slowly and leaving you feeling clammy and uncomfortable. It also makes the air feel thick, harder to breathe, particularly when combined with the odors of the canals. The combination of heat and humidity saps your strength, leaving you feeling drained and lethargic. Yet you must continue to row with vigor, maintaining the illusion of effortless grace for your passengers. As autumn descends, the weather shifts dramatically. The clear skies give way to frequent rain, often heavy and persistent. You are constantly wet, the rain soaking through your clothes, chilling you to the bone. The water in the canals becomes even murkier, churning with fresh runoff from the city streets. Your oar, slippery with rain, is harder to grip. Visibility drops, making navigation even more perilous as other boats become shadowy forms in the driving rain. Imagine spending your entire workday soaked to the skin, shivering uncontrollably, all while trying to maintain your balance and propel a heavy boat. And then, the winter. Venice in winter is a different beast entirely. The damp cold seeps into everything. The wind whips across the open lagoon, cutting through layers of clothing, making your hands numb and your face raw. The canals become icy cold, and the air bites at your exposed skin. Your muscles, already aching from the physical exertion, stiffen and protest even more in the cold. The risk of hypothermia is very real. particularly during long hours on the water without sufficient warm clothing or the ability to dry off. You might try to layer what meager woolen garments you possess, but the persistent dampness and biting wind often win out, leaving you shivering uncontrollably, your teeth chattering. It's enough to make you long for the dry, dusty heat of an actual desert, just for a change. Adding to the winter misery is the occasional phenomenon of acqua alta, exceptionally high tides that flood large parts of the city. While romantic for tourists witnessing Piazza San Marco submerged, for you it means disrupted routes, submerged quays, and potentially dangerous currents in unfamiliar, flooded areas. Your work becomes even more challenging, requiring intimate knowledge of the city's highest points and the ability to navigate through submerged streets, all while battling the cold, murky floodwaters. One common historical truth is that pre-modern societies had very limited means of personal climate control. Heating was typically localized around a hearth, and cooling was largely reliant on shade and breezes. As a gondolier constantly on the water, you had even fewer options, making you acutely vulnerable to the full force of Venice's diverse weather patterns. A lesser-known detail that highlights the gondolier's struggle with the elements is the severe sun damage many would have suffered over a lifetime. Without modern sun protection, their exposed skin would have been constantly bombarded by UV radiation, leading to premature aging, leathery skin, and a significantly higher risk of skin cancers. While they wouldn't have understood the science, the physical manifestation of constant sun exposure would have been a grim reality. Historians still debate the specific health impacts of long-term environmental exposure on working-class populations in historical cities like Venice. Some argue that constant dampness and temperature extremes contributed significantly to respiratory illnesses, rheumatism, and other chronic conditions, shortening lifespans. Others suggest that the physical activity might have offered some protective benefits, though likely not enough to fully counteract the harsh environmental factors. The academic discussion often struggles with the lack of detailed health records, making it difficult to quantify the precise human cost of such demanding, exposed professions. So, as a sudden squall whips across the canal, drenching you to the bone, or as the oppressive summer sun beats down, making your head swim, you find a grim acceptance. This is your constant companion, the unpredictable wrath of nature that never truly gives you respite. Your body might ache, your clothes might cling wetly, but you push on. Another stroke, another turn, another fare. A testament to your unyielding will in a city that is as beautiful as it is unforgiving. You've endured the sun, the rain, the cold, and the relentless physical grind. You've even become adept at navigating the chaotic waterways. But as you continue your weary work, you discover that the greatest challenges often come not from the elements or the physical demands, but from your fellow humans. You are constantly caught in a web of gossip, grudges, and guilds, navigating intense rivalries in the rigid, often suffocating, system that governs your very profession. First, the competition isn't just about securing fares, it's deeply personal. Venice, for all its grandiosity, was a city of close-knit communities and fierce loyalties. Gondoliers often operated from specific stasi or stations, and while this provided some order, it also created territorial disputes. You might have long-standing feuds with gondoliers from rival stasi, or even with individual boatmen who consistently try to poach your fares or undercut your prices. These aren't just polite disagreements, they can escalate into shouted insults, threatening gestures, or even physical altercations on the crowded canals. Imagine trying to stay calm and professional while a rival is screaming insults at you, questioning your mother's honor, all while you're trying to steer a boat full of wealthy patrons. Gossip is the lifeblood of Venice, and as a gondolier, you are at the heart of it. You hear everything: the clandestine meetings, the secret lovers, the financial woes of the nobility, the political machinations of the Doge's palace. You are a silent observer, ferrying secrets across the canals. But this also means you are subject to gossip yourself. A missed fare, a moment of perceived weakness, a personal indiscretion, anything can become grist for the rumor mill among your peers. Your reputation, so vital for attracting steady clientele, can be subtly undermined by whispered accusations or cynical jokes among your fellow boatmen. Then there are the grudges. In a world without formal legal recourse for every minor slight, personal feuds simmer for years, passed down through families and professional networks. A perceived insult, a stolen fare, a disrespectful word, these can fester, leading to long-term animosity. You learn who to avoid, who to keep a wary eye on, and which gondoliers might deliberately try to cut you off in a narrow canal. The canals, despite their open nature, are filled with invisible boundaries of resentment and long-held animosity. But perhaps the most pervasive and controlling force in your life is the guild system. To be a legitimate gondolier in Renaissance Venice, you had to be a member of the Arte dei Gondolieri, the Gondoliers Guild. This powerful organization governed virtually every aspect of your profession, from training and licensing to setting fares and resolving disputes. While guilds offered some protection, like ensuring a certain standard of pay in theory and providing a basic social safety net for members, they also exerted immense control. Imagine the rigidity. To even become a gondolier, you likely had to undergo a lengthy apprenticeship, often starting as a young boy, working for an established master without pay, learning the ropes literally and honing your skills. This wasn't just about learning to row, it was about learning the city's complex waterways, its customs, and the intricate social codes of the profession. This apprenticeship could be brutal, marked by demanding physical labor and often harsh discipline from your master. Once you became a full member, the guild regulated your hours, the number of gondolas allowed in certain areas, and even the design and color of your boat. Remember the black gondola rule. Violating guild rules could lead to fines, suspension, or even expulsion from the profession. A terrifying prospect that meant destitution. This comprehensive control, while intended to maintain order and quality, also stifled individual initiative and created a tightly controlled, almost claustrophobic professional environment. It's like having a union that also owns your house, sets your grocery list, and decides who you can talk to. The guild system also created a powerful internal hierarchy. Older, more established gondoliers held more influence, often securing the most lucrative stations or the best long-term contracts with wealthy families. Younger, less experienced gondoliers, like yourself, had to scramble for the less desirable fares, patiently waiting their turn to ascend the professional ladder. This constant jostling for position added another layer of internal competition and frustration. One common historical truth about Renaissance guilds across Europe is that they functioned as powerful economic and social institutions, controlling access to professions, maintaining quality standards, and providing mutual aid to members. However, they also often stifled innovation, protected monopolies, and could be quite exclusive, making it difficult for outsiders to break in. A lesser-known detail is that gondoliers, like many other Venetian guilds, would have participated in numerous religious festivals and civic ceremonies, lending their collective presence and skill to the grandeur of the Republic. This provided moments of shared identity and pride, briefly transcending the daily grudges and competition, but it was still part of their obligation as guild members. Another duty imposed by the system. Historians still debate the true balance of power between individual gondoliers and their guilds. Some argue that the guilds, while restrictive, ultimately provided stability and protection for their members in a volatile economy. Others contend that they were oppressive, stifling individual freedom and perpetuating social inequalities within the working class. The academic discussion often grapples with the dual nature of guilds as both sources of support and instruments of control. So, as you tie up your gondola at the end of a long day, perhaps exchanging a terse nod with a rival or overhearing a fresh piece of gossip about a fellow gondolier, you feel the familiar weight of your professional life. It's not just the physical exhaustion, it's the mental drain of navigating a complex web of rivalries, expectations, and rigid rules. You are a small cog in a vast, intricate machine, constantly battling for your place, your reputation, and your livelihood in the demanding, often unforgiving, world of the Venetian canals. You've navigated the treacherous currents of guild politics and rivalries, your body and spirit marked by the relentless grind. But as you pull up to the grander palaces, or wait at the busiest stasi, you face perhaps the most frustrating and often demeaning aspect of your profession, the tourist trap tantrums. You are no longer just a boatman. You are a servant to the whims of the wealthy, often rude, and perpetually demanding passengers who see you as little more than a tool for their amusement. Imagine a group of wealthy merchants from Augsburg, or a flamboyant noblewoman from Florence, bedecked in silks and jewels, stepping into your gondola. They don't care that you've been on the water since before dawn, or that your muscles ache, or that the canal smells faintly of death. They care about their experience. They will make unreasonable demands, faster, slower. Take us to that hidden alleyway I heard about, the one with the baker. Even if that alleyway is barely wide enough for your boat, or leads to a dead end, their whims are your command, and you must obey, lest you lose a valuable fare or, worse, earn a reputation for being unaccommodating. Their rudeness is often breathtaking. You are a working man, a gondolier, not their equal. They might bark orders, speak over you, or completely ignore your advice about the canals. They might complain about the speed, the bumps, the sunlight, or even the subtle sway of the boat. Imagine trying to maintain a polite, respectful demeanor while a particularly obnoxious passenger is loudly critiquing your rowing technique. Or worse, making a veiled insult about your social standing. You bite your tongue, forced to swallow your pride, because offending a wealthy patron could mean a lost tip, a negative word spread to their influential friends, or even a formal complaint to the guild. And then there are the endless whims. One passenger might insist on a particular route that you know is congested or even dangerous. Another might demand you stop at every single palace they deem interesting, regardless of traffic or your schedule. They might want you to wait for hours while they conduct business or enjoy a lengthy meal, tying up your gondola and preventing you from earning other fares. Or they might simply change their minds mid-journey, demanding to be taken somewhere entirely different, forcing you to reevaluate your route and expend extra energy. Your day is not your own. It's dictated by the unpredictable desires of your paying customers. It's like being a personal chauffeur to royalty. If royalty were perpetually drunk and prone to sudden, inexplicable detours, the tips, when they come, are often a source of frustration. Some wealthy patrons might be generous, but many will pay only the agreed-upon fare, or offer a meager tip that barely compensates for the effort and indignity you've endured. You can't openly demand more. That would be rude and unprofessional. You simply have to accept what they give, often with a forced smile, and hope the next passenger is more benevolent. This reliance on tips for a significant portion of your income adds another layer of financial precariousness to your already unstable life. Communication itself can be a challenge. While you, as a gondolier, likely speak Venetian dialect, your passengers might come from all over Italy or even further afield in Europe. You might struggle to understand their accents or their specific instructions, leading to misunderstandings that can frustrate them further. You have to be a quick study, adept at interpreting gestures and fragmentary phrases, always trying to anticipate their desires before they even fully articulate them. One common historical truth is that Venice was a major center for international trade and diplomacy, attracting wealthy individuals from across Europe. These visitors, accustomed to certain levels of service and deference, often brought their social hierarchies and expectations with them, viewing local service providers as distinctly beneath them. A lesser-known detail about Renaissance gondoliers and their passengers, wealthy Venetians and foreign dignitaries, sometimes employed their own private gondoliers on retainer, offering more stable though still demanding employment than the unpredictable daily grind of waiting for fares. However, these positions were highly coveted and often required personal connections or exceptional skill, not available to the average gondolier. For most, the daily scramble for fares was the reality. Historians still debate the extent to which the Venetian working class, including gondoliers, truly resented the wealthy elite they served. While a certain level of deference was expected and provided, historical records sometimes hint at underlying frustrations and even acts of subtle defiance or mockery. The academic discussion often grapples with the power dynamics inherent in such a service-based economy, where outward politeness could mask deep-seated social tensions and economic inequalities. So, as a particularly demanding countess finally disembarks, leaving you with a handful of small coins and a lingering sense of exhaustion, you take a deep breath, you straighten your weary back, adjust your calloused grip on the oar, and prepare to seek your next fare. You are a performer, a navigator, and a silent servant, constantly catering to the whims of others, your dignity often a small price to pay for the day's earnings. This is the frustrating, often thankless reality of catering to the fickle tastes of Venice's elite, a constant reminder of your place in the city's rigid hierarchy. You've endured the physical toll, the brutal competition, the indignities of demanding passengers, and the suffocating control of the guild. You are a gondolier in Renaissance Venice, and your life has been anything but the romantic dream portrayed in later centuries. But as the sun dips low over the Venetian lagoon, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple, a different perspective emerges. Amidst all the hardship, there are still fleeting moments of profound beauty, a glimmer of glory that somehow makes the weariness a little more bearable, a fragile counterpoint to your weary soul. Imagine those rare moments when the canals are quiet. Perhaps it's a late evening after the main bustle has died down, or an early morning before the merchants fully awaken. The water is still, reflecting the ancient palaces and the impossibly blue sky like a mirror. The only sound is the gentle dip and creak of your oar, the soft lapping of water against the hull. In these moments, the physical pain recedes. The anxieties about fares and rivals momentarily vanish. You are simply a part of the city, gliding through its watery arteries, a silent, essential thread in its magnificent tapestry. This is where the magic, the true allure of Venice reveals itself, not to the paying passenger, but to the one who truly knows its depths. There's a subtle pride in your skill. You are a master of your craft, capable of maneuvering your unwieldy gondola through the narrowest against strong currents, and past unforeseen obstacles, all with a single oar. You can spin the boat on a dime, glide silently through a crowded intersection, and bring it to a perfect, gentle stop against a stone quay. This is a skill honed over decades, passed down through generations, and it is uniquely Venetian. When another gondolier gives you a nod of respect, or a particularly difficult maneuver is executed flawlessly, there's a quiet satisfaction, a deep professional pride that no amount of discomfort can truly extinguish. You are the eyes and ears of Venice. You know every shortcut, every hidden archway, every secret garden glimpsed over a crumbling wall. You're privy to the whispers of the city, the hushed conversations of lovers, the clandestine meetings of conspirators, the everyday dramas of Venetian life unfolding on balconies and in dimly lit courtyards. You see the city from a perspective few others experience, its hidden beauty and its everyday struggles laid bare before you. This intimate knowledge gives you a unique connection to the Republic, a sense of belonging that few other professions could claim. You are not just transporting people, you are moving through the very soul of Venice. And despite the demanding passengers, there are always the occasional moments of genuine connection. Perhaps a kind elderly woman who offers you a piece of bread, a foreign visitor genuinely awed by the city's beauty who expresses sincere gratitude, or a young couple whose joy in their journey is infectious. These small human interactions, these fleeting moments of shared humanity, are like tiny embers of warmth in the cold, competitive reality of your life. They remind you that your work, despite its hardships, brings joy or convenience to others. It's like being a street performer where sometimes someone truly sees you and appreciates your art. The gondola itself, for all its demanding nature, is also a thing of beauty and purpose. You spend countless hours maintaining it, cleaning its sleek hull, caring for its precious wood. It is your partner, your livelihood, an extension of your body. There is a deep, unspoken bond between a gondolier and his boat, a shared history of countless journeys across the unpredictable waters. This intimate connection provides a sense of constancy and purpose amidst the ever-changing tides of your existence. One common historical truth is that the gondolier, despite being a working-class figure, actually became an iconic symbol of Venice even during the Renaissance, representing the unique character and spirit of the Republic. This widespread recognition, both within Venice and abroad, lent a certain, perhaps subtle, prestige to the profession. Even if it didn't always translate into wealth or comfort, a lesser-known detail is that gondoliers, with their deep knowledge of the city's hidden passages and their ability to navigate discreetly, were sometimes employed in clandestine activities, ferrying messages, lovers, or even conspirators under the cover of darkness. This added a layer of intrigue and occasional danger to their lives, but also a sense of being integral to the city's hidden machinations, a silent participant in its secret history. It certainly added a touch of drama to an otherwise grueling routine. Historians still debate the subjective experience of Renaissance working-class life. While we can catalog the hardships, it's challenging to fully grasp the moments of joy, satisfaction, or spiritual solace that individuals found amidst their daily struggles. Some scholars argue that while life was hard, a strong sense of community, faith, and pride in one's craft provided significant emotional resilience. Others emphasize the unrelenting grind and lack of opportunities. The academic discussion often struggles with projecting modern sensibilities onto historical experiences, making it difficult to fully comprehend the full tapestry of emotions that defined a gondolier's life. So, as the last rays of sunlight fade and the first stars begin to appear over the dark canals, you dip your oar into the water one last time. The physical aches are still there, the worries about tomorrow's fares still linger, but for a brief, precious moment, as you glide silently through the ancient city, you feel a profound connection to Venice, a quiet pride in your enduring skill, and a fleeting sense of peace. You are more than just a boatman. You are a living, breathing part of this extraordinary city. And in that, there is a quiet, unique glory. The dim light of the night lamp now fills the air, gently dispelling the last images of ancient Venice. The smell of mud and stagnant water, the splash of oars, and the deep fatigue in your muscles, all of it fades away, leaving only the silence of the night. You feel your body sink deeper into the soft mattress, a pleasant contrast to the rough wooden deck you had just imagined. The worries about money, the grumbling of customers, are now just distant sounds, transformed into the gentle whisper of the wind outside the window. Let your mind wander through the last images, the heroic efforts of the ancient gondoliers, and realize the peace of this very moment.